Welcome back to Rising. Lindsey, what's in your lens today?
Well, I want to talk about power. I want to talk about planes, power, and priorities. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth just found nearly $1 billion, $934 million to be exact, hidden deep in the Pentagon couch cushions. That money was supposed to fund the Sentinel project, a $77.7 billion modernization project for America's aging nuclear missile system. Instead, it's being rerouted to a classified project. But here's what we do know about that classified project, thanks to reporting from the New York Times. Part of that funding is funding a personal Qatar-backed Air Force One project for President Trump. Yes, you heard that right. Remember that Boeing 747-8 plane that Qatari royal family donated to Trump earlier this year? Well, it's now being retrofitted for the commander-in-chief. The Air Force Secretary estimates the job will cost less than $400 million. That's a quote. But aviation experts and engineers say that number is optimistic at best. NBC News reported the actual cost could climb north of $1 billion, possibly more, especially since the aircraft needs to be stripped nearly entirely to the studs to install encrypted communications, harden defenses, and protect against cyber and physical threats. And the kicker, this plane probably won't even be used for long. President Trump says it will eventually be housed at his yet-to-be-built presidential library after he leaves office in 2029. That library, by the way, is shaping up to be quite monumental to Trump's legal and financial battles. He's already received two settlements, one from Disney, another from Paramount, totaling $32 million to fund it. That's not exactly the people's library, is it? Let me be clear. There are ethical questions here, like why we're accepting a jet from a foreign government, even a friendly one like Qatar. The emoluments clause in the U.S. Constitution prevents the president from accepting a gift from a, quote, king, prince, or foreign state without congressional consent, which he did not get. But even if you put that aside for a moment, there's a much bigger issue that should concern Democrats, Republicans, and especially so-called fiscal conservatives. We're spending money we simply don't have. CBS News recently dug into the Treasury Department reports and found that in President Trump's first 100 days back in the office, the federal government spent over $200 billion more than it did during the same period last year when Biden was president. We're spending more day to day than we ever have in the past 9 or 10 years. The only year that beats this one, 2021. And why? Because it was the height of the pandemic when we were all trying to avoid a full-blown economic collapse. And just this month, the president signed what he called a big, beautiful bill into law. But beautiful for whom exactly? Because the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says that's going to add $3.4 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. That's not a rounding error. That's a generational debt. So when we look at this reboot of Air Force One, a Qatari jet, rerouted Pentagon funds, and a cost that could be spiraling into the billions, we have to ask, who is this actually serving? It's not the next president, because they can't use it. It's not the American taxpayer, and it's certainly not the men and women who depend on these defense programs now losing funding. That's just another example of how when power goes unchecked, systems bend to personal benefit. So here's my lens. Whether you're red or blue, MAGA or moderate, we should all be able to agree that national defense dollars should not become personal vanity projects. Not when families are struggling, the deficit is ballooning, and our country's infrastructure, both physical and financial, needs urgent attention. Because the true cost of this plane won't be measured in dollars alone. It'll be measured in what we neglected to fund this thing instead.
You know, I don't have a lot to disagree with you here. That's always
wow.
nice.
Where's my camera?
You get the heart. I am a fiscal conservative. I don't think, whether he accepts the plane is a different issue. I obviously don't think American tax dollars should be spent refurbishing it or doing whatever.
But even if American tax dollars were going to be spent on that, right? Because Boeing is very slow in remodeling and sending a new Air Force One. That was already on the agenda with billions of dollars
and if
set
it's Boeing,
aside.
It's probably the wings are going to fall out and somebody's going to get sucked out of the door. If it's Boeing, I ain't going.
You're going anywhere on a plane, it's probably Boeing. But
I know.
That's the thing. This taking so long, that's why he even was entertaining this Qatari jet, but the fact that it's not even going to stay within the realms of the next presidency is the part that I think screams the loudest. And all these lawsuits, the money's going directly to his presidential library. As much as everyone's like, yes, this is a win for the American public, like it's almost like such a vanity win when we see about how that library, I'm so fascinated to see what this, at this point, like $100 million library is going to look like, or what it's just, there's going to be like portraits that he approves of him, or just like, what are we going to see
Well,
in there? Like, I just can't even believe that
presidents get libraries, right?
I know, but his is going to be the most
thing.
well-funded library we've seen historically in the most crippling economic time we've seen in a long time.
Gold-plated bindings to the books.
Yeah, and the
He
whole
can have a
plane
nice
going to the library, it's like, at least give it to the next president, which at this point, based on how his last couple months have gone, is probably going to be in a different party.
Oh, you
Maybe
think
Elon
so?
Musk's party. Who knows?
Oh.
But we're going to definitely be
Nice.
moving in a different direction. And I think that the nail in the coffin might be that everything is just going to his library instead of the American public, because dreams are not being fulfilled. I mean, you think about, like, which conservative policy aligns with some of the stuff that Trump's doing financially, right? He's spending all this money, moving defense money to fix his plane, which was unnecessary. Air Force One was fine. He is suing different outlets and putting that money not towards American taxpayers or bringing the money down in other places that will affect us. He's putting it towards his
He's
personal
suing
library.
them in his personal capacity. He's suing them for he sued ABC, George Stephanopoulos.
also-
That was defamation.
But we're asking Americans to donate to the deficit, right? I know you saw that story about, you can pay on Cash App or PayPal. Like, that's actually an option that's been thrown around.
If
So he should
anyone
donate that $16 million
uses
to
Venmo or
Venmo
whatever
and
to help pay down the national debt.
He should do
I
it.
reject you as my countrymen. We should not be giving more money to the government. The government should reduce the debt by taking less of our money.
I think a really noble thing.
Why don't
that
I just
President
set some
Trump
money
could
on
do-
fire and throw it in a pit?
No, a noble thing that President Trump could do is say, hey, this millions of dollars that I'm about to put towards my library, don't worry about it, because I'm sure that'll get funded by all the people that support me. I am going to give this $30x million to the national debt to bring down our debt. Just like I'm asking you to give $1 of your money during this tough economic climate, I'm going to give $30 million. That would be noble.
Well,
and
we
really,
would have liked that better than the jet. Would be just a down payment on the national debt, on decreasing it. Although,
So you're saying foreign nations should pay our debt?
Well, if they're feeling charitable, I guess why donate a plane if they're gonna
And an old plane on top of that. So, but
Yeah.
you don't see anything wrong with it. We already accepted the jet. It's fine.
It was not ideal. I don't know.
You don't have any harsher
I
words?
don't care that much, but they shouldn't have taken it. It's kind of like, it makes me wonder: is it rigged to spy on people? Is my concern? It's a national security concern. They got to go over it. They got to tear that ship apart. Make sure there's no secret Cylon message being broadcast to it or something. But does it violate the emoluments clause? Some people have said yes. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about it. Some days, some things you just don't, I'm not quaking with rage that they gave Donald Trump a plane and it's going to go into his library and fine, whatever.
Well, I think when you dig into
I
it,
wanna have good
they're going to want
relations with
something
Qatar.
back, right? That's how he's the deal maker. Like, no, even though there's several conversations around this being a completely nothing is expected in return gift. Most recently, we see they had multiple conversations to emphasize that point.
Well,
I don't just trust that
I hope what
foreign
they
leaders are
want
just telling
in
the
return
truth.
is peace, and then we should be doing it. I think it's good for Trump and Qatar to have good relations. Qatar has served as useful negotiators for us with some less savory characters in the Middle East. I want to get along better with Iran. I want to get along better. I want to have peace between Israel and Gaza. I want all of that is way more important to me than whether there's a jet given to the president. So if that's what it takes to facilitate good negotiations toward peace so we have less military involvement, I say that's a positive outcome, jet or no.
Okay.
Up next, comedian Jay Leno. Remember him? He has some advice for today's late night host. We'll be right back after this.